Thank you, Ashraf. Premier speaks on troubled Limpopo municipality and Kruger Park ranger attacked by a buffalo. Good day to you. The Limpopo Premier, Popira Matuba, says the provincial government has started the process to place the troubled Thabazimbi municipality under administration. For more than 2 years, the municipality has had two parallel councils, the DA and ANC-led coalitions. Addressing the media on the outcomes of a special meeting of the Provincial Executive Committee, Ramatuba said the municipal council has been given 7 days to respond on why it shouldn't be placed under administration.
Executive Council of our province, Limpopo, has taken a decisive step to invoke the provision of Section 139, 1C of the Constitution of the Republic of South Africa in response to the challenges faced by Thabazimbi local municipality. The Executive Council has given the Council of Thabazimbi 7 days from the 15th of August 2024 to respond why it should not go ahead to implement the provision of Section 139 1C.
An agricultural expert says adverse weather conditions continue to negatively affect various sectors of the economy and are contributing to job losses. South Africa's official unemployment rate increased from 32.9% in the first quarter of this year to 33.5% in the second quarter. The agricultural sector was one of the biggest contributors to the unemployment figures, registering 45,000 job losses in the period. Tabilan Kunjani is from the National Agricultural Marketing Council.
We are anticipating this. The numbers are not surprising at all, even from the previous quarter. But for this time around, the main issue, to the current drop in the jobs, it has been mainly the effect of the El Nino. I mean, this is something that we've talked about for quite a long time, given the fact that we have experienced quite a significant, drought, which we haven't seen for quite a while, at least for the past few seasons. So as a result, the sector declined by 5%, or around 45,000 jobs that have been lost, to close to 886 to this quarter.
The murder case of Alistair van Wyk, who allegedly killed his girlfriend, has been postponed until tomorrow. The Kimberley Magistrates Court in the Northern Cape postponed the matter due to the unavailability of van Wyk's lawyer. Mamunya Caleb was killed and her body was wrapped in a blanket and hidden in a shack for about 3 days. The victim's aunt, Saraya Gordon, says the incident has badly affected the family.
It's very hard for us because we never expected this to happen to my mother. All we ask is that she gets justice.
A Kruger National Park ranger has been airlifted to hospital after being gored by a buffalo. The injured ranger is said to be in a stable condition. The park spokesperson, Ike Patla, says two rangers were patrolling when a buffalo charged them from behind. He says the ranger managed to cling to the buffalo's horns while his colleague put it down.
One of our field rangers was seriously wounded by a buffalo while on patrol in the Pretoria Scope section of the Kruger National Park. He was stabilized on the scene of the attack and is currently receiving medical attention at a health facility. Our prayers are with him, his colleagues and family. The animal was destroyed by the other field ranger who was patrolling with him at the time.
The medical charity Doctors Without Borders, or MSF, says there's a risk that the last functioning hospital in the Sudanese city of Al Fasher will have to shut down due to intensive bombardment. For several weeks, the paramilitary Rapid Support Forces have been trying to capture the city from the army. The BBC's Leila Mulana Allen has more.
We've got hundreds of thousands of people moving, displaced across the country. Many of these people have been displaced multiple times because, of course, they'll move somewhere which they think is safe, often to a camp or somebody else's home, and then the RSF will come and they'll be moving again. They have to leave everything behind. They're walking barefoot in the baking heat along miles and miles and miles of road with young children. So people have so little and are so traumatized.
The top story, the Limpopo Premier says the provincial government has started the process to place the troubled Thabazimbi municipality under administration. That's SAFM News. I'm Greg Khos.
In sports, Betway Premiership fixtures released and Chawane and Pretoria's named new captain and vice captain for Netball Proteas. More detail at 5:30.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Good afternoon. Starting off in Gauteng, Jan Smuts Avenue northbound in Rosebank has roadworks reported with traffic restrictions near 7th Avenue. St Andrews Road westbound in Parktown has a crash just before the M1 highway, and Mabopane Highway eastbound in Pretoria has delays at the Hairpin Bend. In KZN, the N2 northbound has roadworks with traffic restrictions at Amanzimtoti. The N3 westbound has a stationary truck just before Camperdown exit, and the M4 has roadworks with traffic restrictions at Tongaat Beach, so you're asked to expect delays. In Cape Town, the M5 southbound slow moving towards Racecourse Road. The N1 outbound has a stationary truck reported on Plattekloof. The N2 outbound is queuing towards the R300 highway exit, and Saxdown Road northbound in Brackenfell is queuing towards Bottleray Road. With your traffic update, I'm Irma G.
SAFM, leading the conversations that move us.
It is alleged that the Libyans have been in the base since April.
So how long have police intelligence been aware of this facility?
To be frank with you, at this moment, it's something that also during the visit by the minister it was indicated that cannot share much on the things besides the information that was received by the intelligence structure. There were other information from members of the community.
Wow, the security camp used for military training. Why are foreign nationals being trained in security or guerrilla warfare or whatever it is in South Africa? If South Africans were in another country being trained for those purposes, my word, they would be regarded as terrorists, it would be treason, they'd probably be locked up by those countries and everything.
Update at noon with Sakina Kamwendo, midday to 1 p.m. The National Pulse with Ashraf Garda on SAFM. You're listening to the National Pulse, weekdays 3 to 6 p.m.
I've been asking a question about whether SADC should shift the hosting of the SADC Summit of Heads of State from Harare, Zimbabwe on the 17th of August. Should it be shifted outside of that country because of some people believing that Zimbabwe is not worthy of hosting it because of its alleged human rights atrocities? So it's being said. Do you think yes, no? You can vote right away just via WhatsApp. Just do it 0614104107. Vote yes or no and then give us your answer. But also check it out on my Twitter or X platform. I've put out a vote line. We'll share it on SFM Radio as well, and you can certainly add your yes, no on that one there. I've also asked you about street names. Not so much should we change them. That's another conversation. But do you pay attention to these street names that have been changed, or whatever they are, named after people, to the actual people? Because if the naming was done to honor those people, how much do you know about just that person? Okay. So here's Lex from Parkland saying, I'm not going to bother with learning the story behind who the people are that our roads and streets are renamed after. This is keeping in line with me not having researched who Colette, Van Buren, Atlas Road, etc. are named after. Okay, I'm not too sure I get you, but I've certainly read it and I hear what you say. Let's talk about another big issue. Another conversation we've had earlier on with the leader of Operation Dudula, Zandile Dabula, and the context of that is a 21-year-old man has been shot in Jabuva in Soweto, apparently by a foreign national, and some say an illegal foreign national in this country. As a result of that, there's been a response from residents, in particular driven by Operation Dudula, not only to close that store where that person works at, but to close other stores owned by foreign nationals in that community of Jabavu in Soweto. So let's get another thought on that. We've had a conversation already with Zandile Jabula. I'm going to play some sound bites. You can listen to the full podcast. It's available right now. Just go to the X platform, check it out, SFM Radio, on all socials, including our website, safm.co.za. But with me right now is Hayley Shamebo, who's the president of the United Africa. Appreciate your time, Hayley. Thanks for joining us on the National Pulse.
Thanks, Mr. Ashraf. Yeah, I would like to go to the point, Mr. Ashraf.
Well, okay, just hold it before you do that. What I'm going to do, first things first, is we're going to play some of the sound bites in the conversation I had with Zandile Dabula. So just some of the key points that she raised. The first one is, I asked the question about how would they know that that person was illegal, an illegal national in this country.
These people claim to be seeking asylum in this country, but they have the decency of shooting us. Now, that's the first point. Now, yes, we are closing each and every store in Jabavu and part of Mfulo. We are doing this because we've been talking about this thing for the past 4 years. I must say that at first it was about poisonous food. It happened for about 2 years where our children have been dying because of poisonous food, but now it's escalating to shooting. Now this means we are living with dangerous people in our community, people who we don't even know who are they, because the first person that was arrested, who happens to be a worker in that shop, is carrying a fraudulent South African identity.
Okay, that's the first thing. Then we spoke about other things, and then we spoke about the point that I brought up, which was if one person has done something, allegedly so, there's the law, how then do you close down all the stores? Why would you practice a form of collective punishment?
This thing is escalating. So from one place, remember even with the food poisoning, it started in one place and it spread to other places as well. Now this means these people are undermining us as South Africans. They are undermining the laws of this country together with their landlords, because they are as guilty as the landlords, because the Immigration Act, Section 42, states very well that we cannot lease or sell a property to an illegal immigrant, but that's what's currently happening with the landlords. And the law enforcement agencies are doing nothing about it.
Okay.
We don't see them raiding these stores and arresting the landlords as well. So we even with our operations, we've been saying that we're going to do this with order. We're not going to be assaulting anyone. We're not going to be looting. All we are doing is that we pack their stock, help them pack the stock, put it in their trucks, and they leave the township. And township economy is reserved for South Africans. It cannot be correct that we have so many foreign nationals, whether they're documented or not, owning spaza shops, because that's part of the township economy.
Okay, that's her comments on the township economy. We then spoke about asylum seekers, and she said this.
Trading has their own rules. If you're going to be trading in South Africa, then you need to invest a minimum of 5 million, which has not happened with these people. This is just a mere spaza shop. And when we grew up, it was a spaza shop that just had to accommodate about probably 10, 15 houses in a certain block. And how are you going to invest 5 million in a spaza shop? That's the first one. So that's the rule for trading in South Africa if you are documented. Now, these people are claiming to be asylum seekers. They are carrying, some of them fraudulent asylum seekers, some of them they probably have legit ones. We're not sure about the legit ones, but you are claiming to be an asylum seeker. Asylum seeker, you're supposed to go seek asylum in your next country, but they don't do that.
All right, so that's the thoughts on the voice of Zandile Dabula, the leader of Operation Dudula. Right, let's then get back to my guest who's been listening to all of that, Hayley Shamebo, the president of the United Africa. So, Hayley, what's happened here? The context is there's an issue of a crime. Somebody has shot another person. That's the literal issue of what's happened. There's an investigation into that, and there's this group of people who've decided that that's a foreign national, and they've said all the things that we've just played out earlier on. What do you make of it?
Okay, first thing, Mr. Ashraf, I would like to, my condolence to the loss of the family of that young boy, whoever, even if I don't know them. It's very sensitive to lose your family or your child.
In fact, the person's in hospital. The person's 21 years old and remains in hospital. So, thank goodness. Let's hope that it would survive.
It's very sad to hear. It could be your child. It could be my child. I'm very sorry for that, and my condolence to the family as well, and to the family members and the friends. I would like to go to the point. What is happening in South Africa, according to the Zandile? Also, she mentioned some of them. Operation Dudula is, I think they don't have much knowledge about the refugees and the migrants. What she mentioning currently, what is happening, the crime committed in the country. We're losing 90 to 100 people daily in South Africa. People are dying every province, every corner in South Africa. There's a high crime. There's illegal firearm, not less than 20 million, every corner, everyone got illegal, unlicensed firearm in the country. That is up to the government to control unlicensed firearm, and to control the police is the issue to now to investigate the matter on that young boy. What makes you to shoot somebody, Ashraf? If your life is not in danger, what is the cause? I'm not witnessing over the phone, but that I will leave it to the police.
Okay.
So we have.
Right, so just to correct you, I was making the point already that the person who's 21 years old is in hospital, has not died, and we pray that the person recovers. Okay, but now what do you make of Operation Dudula's position in terms of now going to all the stores in Jabavu and effectively evicting, that's really what it is, evicting all the foreign national-owned stores?
Look, Operation Dudula is very, very backward mentality and uncivilized attitude. I see the way how they're trying to think and they mention about the refugees and closing all the refugees' business around there is very illegal and unprofessional. You cannot do it for one individual. Whoever commit crime will be responsible for whatever crime he did. You cannot paint the whole wall with one brush, each and every one. You cannot paint for each and every migrant now become criminal. This is excuse in South Africa for many years. As a media, as a journalist, you can hear this Operation Dudula is fueling the fire in the country. It's not bringing peace or integration in South Africa.
All right, let me ask you this. You're saying they're fueling the fire. They say they are responding to what they see are many incidences, firstly, of crime in townships perpetrated by foreign nationals, documented or undocumented, right? And they've reported these many issues, not just this one, to the authorities, and the conviction rate or the arrest rate is so dismal that they have no choice but to take matters into their own hands. That's the first point. The second point, they also see that the township economies must be controlled by locals, and they see all these foreign nationals, documented or undocumented, effectively running and controlling that environment and effectively squeezing out traditional community stores. Considering the fact that we already come from an apartheid era deficit, what opportunities then do these community store owners or shops historically have to grow any bigger when they've been squeezed out? It is in that context that Operation Dudula feels they have to then take matters into their own hands.
Well, okay, we cannot take the matter in our own hand, or the community cannot take in their own hand. This is not a banana republic. We have a justice system and the law in order in the country. So the law enforcement agency and the law can take the decision on the matter. What I want to say, the tax shop, the business of the tax shop in South Africa, look, I've done this business for many years. It's very bad business. It's very serious, the difficult business. Ashraf, you can work 14 hours, 12 hours, You stand there, you have a very huge challenge. If South Africans, they want to take over, no one can stop them not to take over without doing any crime. But what she mentioned, if illegal foreigner or asylum or whatever she say, in South Africa, the immigration system or the Home Affairs is a failed state. The crime is a failed state. The justice system on the crime is a very failed state. For example, in Israel, about 40,000 people was, in the bombarding attack of Israeli and the Palestine, 40,000 people die currently. In our country, in South Africa, in 1 year, 40,000 people are dying silently with a gun. So that's
all right. I understand, but we're just moving sideways on this issue. I understand there's a general crime problem in our country. Let's get back to this. So you're not in agreement with Operation Dudula, right? You say they're inciting violence in their own way, right?
No, the inciter, the instigators. Operation Dudula are the instigators. They are inciting and they are fueling the fire in the nation. So this is very unprofessional conduct of whoever they're.
All right, I hear you. So if they're fueling the fire, they may actually say they're not fueling the fire. They're saying the foreign nationals who are shooting people who are illegally there, who are operating illegal businesses are fueling the fire. They're responding to that because the authorities are not doing anything. So here's my last thing to you then. What then is the win-win-win solution?
Okay, win-win solution for South Africa to control the crime is very important. But now, this is the xenophobic behavior of Dudula is operation. The same people like Dudula is many other them. They must stop this kind of practice and the activity. So then we have a system of the law must take over and the address. So there's the immigration, the Refugee Act, as she mentioned about the asylum, they failed to legalize the refugees for many years in this country.
Okay,
so
let me just push you on this one. We need to wrap up. Let me just push you on this one here. That's a macro problem from Home Affairs that can deal with it. What is your solution in terms of what's happening in Jabavu, Soweto right now? Just a short answer. We're going to wrap up.
Well, my solution is both the immigrant and the citizen, they must come together, sit down, they discuss together, and this kind of crime or the shooting or killing somebody must never happen. So all they must reconcile and they must reintegrate together, and they must discuss. That is the solution. There's the elderly people, there's the church people, there's the police, there's the community leaders. All the stakeholders, they must come together and they must find the root solution of these problems. So we cannot continue always with these kind of things. I know South Africans are not all xenophobic.
Okay.
South Africans are not bad people. We cannot just paint, everyone is the same
All right,
way.
let's leave it at that. Haile Shamebo, appreciate your time, President of the United Africa.
Feel Good Fridays just got even better with a brand new Expresso newsletter, the Feel Good Fix. Delivered to your inbox every Friday, it is your weekly dose of joy, entertainment, and local flair. Subscribe now at expressoshow.com and never miss a moment.
From heartwarming stories to tasty recipes, it's all there waiting for you. And remember to tune in to the Espresso Morning Show weekdays from 6 to 9 a.m. on S3, and let's start your day right and channel your inner feel good.
S3. Yeah, we can do this. It's been a long time coming. This deserves to grow. It's a great business. If they don't like it, someone else will. And fund me so I can expand. Maybe I can offer them shares. I need to retain equity for staff. It's going to be good for recruitment. Yeah.
Possible begins with that one great idea. When Telkom enables entrepreneurs to make their ingenuity a reality, we grow local economies. Telkom. Possible begins here.
Big ups to all the women of Africa Dzonga. Incredible characters in various fields. When you set your mind onto something, your winning mentality is difficult to defeat, on and off the field. Your excellence in the world of sport speaks volumes. You are the great inspiration to the nation. Happy Women's Month, courtesy of SABC Sport. For the love of the game.
SAFM. Prime time all day long.
Had a fascinating conversation with Hopewell Chinono earlier on. You can listen to the full podcast regarding his stance, and he believes that yes, SADC in fact don't have the teeth, but they should in fact move the SADC summit's head of states
in prison. You know that I've been thrown into prison 3 times before for exposing corruption, and for my own safety I had to leave.
Right, so that's him. What do you make? We've got a vote line. You can vote on WhatsApp 0614104107, and also go onto my X or Twitter account. Just check it out. Yes, no, should SADC move itself out of Zimbabwe for that summit or not? Yes, no. Add your thoughts as well if you do that. By the way, on WhatsApp, you can also join the National Pulse WhatsApp channel. Just WhatsApp us and just say, please add me, and we'll certainly do that, right? There's some other calls I need to take, but let's get to another important issue around the VBS Mutual Bank, right? So the 13 accused in the VBS Mutual Bank scandal appeared in the High Court in Pretoria today. The accused, remember, are implicated in the looting of over 1.9 billion rands from the bank between 2015 and 2018, so that 4-year period. The SABC News reporter Horisani Sitoli was in court today and joins me on the line now. Horisani, I appreciate your time. You're live with the National Pulse.
Hi, afternoon, Ashraf.
Thank you. Right, so tell us what happened in court today, some key bullet points.
So we've seen the lawyer for the 2 accused, giving a heads of evidence, presenting his own head there. You remember that now we've got 13 people that have been accused of this who are supposed to stand trial, but two of them, we're talking about the former ANC provincial treasury, then Caesar, and former ANC youth league leader, Kabelo Masepe. The two are saying that they wish to take their matter to the Supreme Court of Appeal, where they want to challenge the racketeering charge, and also them saying that actually they don't understand. They wish actually to another submission that we saw is that they want to be taken off prosecution.
Right, and then and some of the other developments that you'd like to just punctuate?
So actually it was around that, but we've had now the state coming in to say actually these arguments are being brought there based on a report. I mean, that report that was only done in 2018, but the case actually goes in that they are not happy with. That's what the state says. They feel like it's just another delay tactic. We've had also the judge weighing in and coming in and asking the defense counsel to say, how long do you think this will take if you want us to set it aside? I mean, the 11 other accused are ready to go on trial, but then if then we have to stop the trial based on these two, what's going to happen? So we had the defense saying that actually they can go back to court every 3 months for the judge to check on their progress, but they said that's going to be a very expensive exercise. You remember that some of these accused are coming from as far as Venda, and then that will be actually also a waste of time for the court as well.
And what's your sense of the tone in terms of, when there's a court hearing, there's inevitably a tone and an environment and an atmosphere that you'd like to share with us?
Actually, what happened is that you remember that the 13 are out on bail. You'll see, we actually had when the judge cracked a joke saying that the way things are going, if they are going to wait, he might as well retire. He might end up retiring in the trial before he could even conclude it. And everybody giggled, including the accused. But what I also need to highlight, some of them, as much as you remember that some of them are known figures, are people like we've known, like if you talk about former MTN executive Robert Mazonga, was they didn't even have a mask, but some had masks on their faces. But I mean, those are some of the things that we noticed in court.
Okay. Any final thoughts that you'd like to share?
I think we'll have to await. The matter will be back on Friday, where we're going to hear the judgment has been reserved until Friday. So hopefully, day after tomorrow, people will be relieved, because we were speaking earlier on to Parapara FM. You remember, Ashraf, that Parapara FM is a radio station in Limpopo where most of the people who were victims of this are based. There was so much interest that was shown there. Remember that we're talking about pensioners and so many people who invested in the bank. I mean, the bank dates back to the days of the homelands, it was one of the leading banks in the Venda area. Yes, so the losses happened for those people.
Well, there you are. Let's leave it at that. Horisani Sitoli, the SABC News reporter covering the story of the VBS Mutual Bank case. Is a really fascinating, a nice message. I love SAFM. I learned a lot from this radio tune. The English language, male and female relations, sports, and the rest is endless. Over 15 years of listening. Tell you what, keep on listening. That's all I can tell you. Lots of comments on SADC. People saying SADC are useless. No, the SADC summit must not be moved from Harare. You're not giving me an explanation as to why, but we'll certainly cover that as well just now. Let's get the news headlines now. Here's Greg Coase.
In the headlines, Business, Eskom and the Presidency have agreed that the National Energy Crisis Committee should focus on transmission, market reform, municipal utilities and new energy generation. The Limpopo Premier says the provincial government has started the process to place the troubled Tabazimbi municipality under administration. And authorities in Uganda say the death toll from a landslide at a garbage dump in Kampala has risen now to 26. Of course, there will be an update on that story and other news at the top of the hour.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Good afternoon. Starting off in Gauteng, the M1 southbound is queuing through Crown Interchange towards Boysons. Lever Road in Midrand has a crash near Azalea Avenue. In Bedfordview, the N3 northbound is queuing on the link to the N12 East at Giluli's Interchange, and the N12 eastbound has a stationary vehicle after Giluli's Interchange. In Pretoria, Mabopane Highway eastbound has delays at the Hairpin Bend, and Eskom Patleli Drive northbound has delays towards Moot Street. In KZN, the N3 eastbound, an earlier crash after Linfield Park exit has been cleared, but traffic remains slow moving. Inanda Road westbound has a crash at the N2 highway, and Chris Hani Road westbound is queuing at the N2 highway. In Cape Town, the N2 outbound queuing towards the R300 highway exit. The M5 southbound is slow moving towards Racecourse Road. The N7 Jakes Havel Drive southbound is queuing towards Voortrekker Road. The M3 southbound is slow moving towards Rhodes Drive, and the N1 outbound slow moving towards Okavango Road. With your traffic update, I'm Irma G.
This is SAFM Sports with Tuming Kapele.
So, to me, I asked you earlier on, in fact, I asked you yesterday to say go and do some research and find out every single South African that's won a medal at the Olympic Games since 1992.
Since 1992 or in 1992?
No, since 92. There's so much more work to do. Okay, well, let's stick with in 92. Okay, but you're going to give us some answers, right?
Yes.
Maybe you've got a few minutes to Google the rest of it. Okay, but let's get on with the sport first, yeah.
All right, let's start off with football. The 2024 Betway Premiership season gets underway on the 14th of September with 6 fixtures to start off the new campaign. Defending champions Mamelodi Sundowns kick off their season at home against SuperSport United. Cape Town City away to Royal AM. Orlando Pirates welcome Chipa United at home. Kaizer Chiefs travel to Marumo Gallants, Polokwane City against Amazulu, and newly promoted Magesia against Skokune United. Meanwhile, the Premier Soccer League has also confirmed the dates, venues and kick-off times for the upcoming MTN 8 semi-final fixtures. Cape Town City will be at home to Orlando Pirates in the first leg of their clash, and that is on the 27th of August. Kick-off at 7 p.m. and it's happening at the DHL Stadium, with the second leg fixture to be held at Orlando Stadium on the 31st of August. Kick-off at 3 p.m. In the other semi-final bracket, Mamelodi Sundowns will face Stellenbosch FC in the first leg at the Lucas Muripe Stadium on the 28th of August, and kick-off is at 7 p.m. and the return leg is scheduled for the 1st of September at the Moses Mabhida Stadium, kicking off at 3 p.m. Meanwhile, Kylian Mbappe is set to make his debut for Real Madrid when the European champions take on Europa League winners Atalanta in the UEFA Super Cup tonight. Now, after years of trying to secure the services of Mbappe, the Spanish Giants got their man when he signed a 5-year deal. Now, the France captain will now be thrown in at deep end in his new club's first official game of the campaign. However, we are not sure if it's going to be from the start of the game until the end, or he's just going to be substituted in it. Then, still staying with football, the Premier League hopes to reduce frustration with the VAR system with the launch of a social media account that will provide near real-time updates and explanations regarding officiating and operational decisions for every match. Teams voted in favor of keeping VAR in June, despite a lot of criticism about the technology-aided officiating system last season, with the Wolverhampton Wanderers initiating a petition to scrap it. Now, in addition to posting refereeing decisions, the X account, which is under at PL Match Center, will also provide insights directly from the VAR hub and refereeing experts, with the aim of just bringing transparency. And experts from PGMOL, which is the league's officiating body, will also clarify the laws of the game and provide additional information and updates on the VAR decision-making process when necessary. In rugby, Lucanio Am says that he's thrilled by the prospect of donning the Springbok number 12 jersey for the first time alongside Jesse Creel in the rematch with the Wallabies on Saturday, and one of the 10 changes made to the team that thrashed the Wallabies in the opening round of the Rugby Championship in Brisbane will return to the starting lineup at Insight Centre.
I'm really looking forward for this test. I think playing alongside a world-class player like JC would be really amazing. I think as an experienced player and also me playing 12, having the understanding of a 13, I think we will complement each other on both sides of the ball.
In cricket, Lions fast bowler Gwena Maphaka alongside Dolphins all-rounder Jason Smith have been called up for their debut in the Proteas squad for the upcoming 3-match T20 International Series against the West Indies. Coach Rob Walter named his 15-player squad this morning. 18-year-old Maphaka earned a call-up after a great showing in the Under-19 Men's World Cup, where he finished as a player of the tournament with 21 wickets at an average of under 10, while Smith, on the other hand, showed a great display at the CSA T20 Challenge and got 291 runs at an average of 41 and a half. Spinner Ngaba Peter is ruled out of the series as he is in the final phase of his recovery from a shoulder injury, and the squad will be captained by Aiden Markram. Anything's off with netball. Kanyisa Chawana and Carla Pistorius will have been announced as the new captain and vice captain of the netball Proteas. Chawane takes over the captaincy from retired Bongim Somi, and Pretorius continuing as vice. South Africa face off against Malawi this month, a fixture which is expected to have a lot of intensity and competitiveness. Also, SPAR and Netball South Africa have announced that they will extend their long-standing sponsorship for the next 4 years for a multi-million rand deal. That's it. It is a wrap from my side.
It's not a wrap. Let's get to your list. Okay, so for the purpose of now,
yes,
because of the confusion, we'll stick with 92.
Okay.
And then we've got the other homework. Maybe tomorrow we do the next 4 years, right?
Okay.
And so on and so on. Right. Okay, 92.
Well, in terms of 92, we got 2 silvers, and the one was from a double men's tennis where Wayne Ferreira and Pete Novel won that silver. And in terms of Wayne Ferreira, he's a tennis coach, and he's coached the likes of Francis Tiafoe, who's an American tennis player, and also Jack Draper from Britain, while Pete, on the other hand, has a tennis academy, and it's all the way in Harties.
Okay, so here's but Wayne Ferreira then emerged as one of South Africa's finest ever tennis players. I mean, he has been.
Yes.
Many people think about like Wayne Ferreira. Okay, so that's them, right?
Yes. And then Ilana Meyer, obviously, she got the silver in the 10,000 meters, and she currently has an academy called Endura Card. Basically, they identify distance runners and gives them support in terms of coaching, race management, and on and on and on. And just by the way, she still holds the 10-kilometer record at 31 minutes,
really,
31 seconds.
I had the privilege of actually serving as a judge at the Sports Industry Awards with Ilana Meyer, so we've had communication then. But I do remember in 92, and maybe I'm wrong, that after she finished silver, remember, that's 92, so 92. You must just think of the time in South Africa. We're not yet a democracy, right? And we ran under no flag, or the white flag of the Olympic Games or something like that. She and I think the lady's name is Derartu Tulu, but maybe you can check it up. They then hand in hand ran around the track because Derartu Tulu won the gold, and then Ilana silver. And I think she's probably from Kenya, because I mean I would expect that Kenya, Ethiopia, Somalia, one of those countries, right?
Yeah.
But it was just so novel because up to then in South Africa, that was like unheard of. So I may have the name wrong, but maybe somebody knows, who's cleverer than me, will tell me who was she with. But there's a glorious picture, maybe we must post it, of them sort of hand in hand with the two flags, a symbol of this united Africa from the north right down to the south. But quite a beautiful story.
Absolutely.
Anybody else? That's it.
Got those
in the
three
first one.
names for now.
All right. Tomorrow we go to 1996.
Alrighty.
Right, there we are. More sport then tomorrow, of course.
Economic news on SAFM. Facts and figures you can count on.
Right, let's get onto the business issues. I'll take some of your calls too as well just shortly. And as always, hosted the SAFM Money Update, hosted by Jimmy Moyaha. Jimmy, good chatting to you as always. Right, you've got a big issue on SME funding. It's so important.
Good evening, Ashraf. Good evening to the listeners. Yes, we've certainly got interesting innovation through a partnership with Nedbank, JP Morgan, and the Embassy of Finland. They've rolled out a new platform that aims to help green SMEs specifically access funding where they might find it difficult. We're going to speak to them about that a little later on the show to just understand the importance of being able to finance small businesses and ensure that small businesses survive and are able to grow. So very interesting initiative. We do, of course, know Nedbank as the green bank, so no surprises there that they are funding greener SMEs. But we're going to dig into that a little later on and find out what that's all about. We're also going to have a conversation with the Competition Commission. It looks as though they've reached a settlement agreement with Booking.com around some pricing rules. A bit of a backstory around this one was at some point Booking.com wouldn't allow the owners of the properties that are listed on those platforms to charge prices that might have been more attractive to you and I as consumers, and it seems as though those rules are going to have to change because they've lost whatever conversation they were having with the Competition Commission. So we've got a conversation with the Competition Commission to understand what happened there, what the changes look like, and most importantly, what it means for you and I as consumers. And then we've got a conversation with Ken Newport of Capital Legacy around generational wealth and succession planning. Everybody seems to want to transfer things to their loved ones or leave things to their loved ones, but very often we don't really know how to do it. So we're going to dig into that. We're going to understand what that looks like, understand what processes might be involved there and how to make the most of that. And then we've got a rather interesting conversation with a professor from UCT around a study she's done on the living wage. Suggests that the living wage in South Africa is significantly higher than where minimum wage is, and that suggests that not only are people not able to afford living in South Africa, that perhaps we should revise minimum wage. And then because it's Wednesday, we've got our SME, and this week's SME is the CEO designate of Time Bank, Carl Westvik. So he joins me to just get a sense of how he's settling into his potential, his new role that will be effective 1 October, and what he's looking forward to around that. But before we get to that, let's do a quick summary of what's been moving the markets today. It's been quite an interesting day, especially on the equity front. Again, bit of a mixed bag from Asian markets at least, not so much from the rest of the world. But let's start with Asian markets. Sydney was up almost 0.5%, 0.47%. Hong Kong down 1/3%. Mainland China down 0.5%. The Nikkei in Tokyo, that was more flat effectively, closed out the day flat. We look at European markets, CAC 40 in France up 2/3%, whilst the DAX in Germany up 1/3%, and the FTSE in London up 0.4%. US markets at the moment are trading in mostly positive territory, with the S&P up 1/3%, while the Dow's up about 0.4%. The Nasdaq is sitting flat, but they do still have the rest of the evening to trade. The South African markets had a really good day. We continue the positivity, and we take the positivity as it comes. All three of our sectors finished in the green. Resources, or the underperformer there, Dow up actually 0.08%, so just under 1/10% in the green. Industrials up 0.1%, was just under 0.2%, and financials leading the charge up 1.4%. As a result of that, the all share was up 0.5%, and the top 40 was up 0.5%. If we look at currencies, the rand strengthening against the dollar for yet another day, strengthening about 1/4% so far, at 18 rand and 6 cents for $1, at 23 rand and 20 cents for £1 and 19 rand 92 gets you €1. One Australian dollar will cost you 11 rand 95. And if we look at some of the commodities prices, gold price $2,446 an ounce, coming off of that $2,460, almost $2,480 high there. Brent crude still sitting stable at $80.32 a barrel. Platinum $933 an ounce. Palladium $920 an ounce. Both of those still below $1,000 and not having a good day. Commodities entirely in the red. Silver, not the exception there, still $27.46 an ounce, down 0.8% there as well. So we've got quite a bit to dig into, but before we go, let's do a quick look at some cryptos. Bitcoin just under 60,000, 58,900, and Ethereum $2,645. We'll come back with these and other stories a little later on.
Yeah, listen, before I let you go, so let's give me the idiot's guide answer to when you talk about unbundling of assets. What do we mean?
Interesting that you mentioned that. We're going to have a conversation about Transaction Capital because they're unbundling their Nutten credit business. Effectively, a company will sell off part of its divisions or part of its assets that it holds within its portfolio, and the effect of that unbundling, particularly in the case of listed companies, is whatever the share price would have been trading at, the asset or the component that's being unbundled has a certain valuation, and what you typically see on the JSE or on the stock price is that whatever that company was valued at is equated to a portion of that share price, and when the unbundling takes place, the share price of the parent company moves by similar amounts. Think back to Transaction Capital unbundling We Buy Cars and Transaction Capital losing almost 60%. That was because We Buy Cars was worth almost 60% of their share price at that time.
And now we know. Thank you. Enjoy your show coming up at 6, Jimmy Moyaha. Right, we're going to chat about the DUT City Campus Cleanup campaign coming up shortly, but I'll take your calls after this.
Ashraf Garda on SAFM.
In fact, there's a comment from Rocky saying, Ashraf, you are spot on. Derar Tulu won gold with Ilana taking silver. Okay, well, I'm amazed at how I remember that. The name just came up from there, right? Okay, let's get to issues around SADC and Zimbabwe and immigration and many other things. Norma from Zimbabwe, hi.
Wow, good evening, Ashley.
Good evening, Norma. Right, go ahead. Your point?
I just want to quickly pass a comment on this SADC meeting.
Yeah.
Please let it just get out from Zimbabwe, please. We don't need it at all, especially the support that we are getting from South Africa, that it keeps on supporting ZANU-PF when it's oppressing the people, killing us, being very unfair to us women and children. Please, can Cyril Ramaphosa and all the other ANC members do us justice? Get out of Zimbabwe. Instead, they must stand with us to say no to the chairmanship of SADC to Nangagwa.
All right, quick one. Just getting out of Zimbabwe, how will that help you?
I beg your pardon?
How will Ramaphosa getting out of Zimbabwe help you?
It will help us because at least we will realize that he is for the suffering masses of Zimbabwe. Because we are suffering. We are raising children in a very difficult way. We have been here for years, running away from the brutality of ZANU-PF, and the ANC is aware of that. And is taking no action whatsoever.
Okay.
This is what Opel Chinono said. That is exactly what is happening in Zimbabwe.
All right. Thank you for raising that issue, Norma. I don't have to say much more than that. I'm going to move on to other callers who have similar views or different views. Thank you for raising that. It's an important point, and it's a reflection of the national pulse of South Africa and certainly for the SADC region as well. Voyizwa in Parktown North, hello.
Hi, Ashraf, how are you?
I'm very good indeed. Go ahead. What's your point?
Thank you. Yeah, thank you for taking my call. My point is that Zimbabweans, like I was listening to Hopewell, no?
Yeah.
There is nothing that we are going to do as South Africans. They need to admit that there is a problem in Zimbabwe and engage in African culture. You engage with the very person the elephant in the room. Running away will not solve anything. As much as they think that we have a better way, we are also struggling. We have no access to our politicians. People are struggling in South Africa. They see it. But they want to put the whole burden that they started on the shoulders of the African National Congress. We need to get to the African culture and solve things the way the African solve it.
All right,
why are we afraid of this one man?
Well, the truth is they're not solving things. That's why we've got so many problems in Zimbabwe, in South Africa, sometimes around the continent, and around the world too. But Yuswa, thanks for that call, right? Let's get another comment on the issue of immigration. Sabata in KZN, hello.
Hello, Ashraf.
Yeah, good indeed. Go ahead, your point.
I'm okay. I just want to start by asking you a question. How does illegal immigrants or illegal immigration affect you personally?
How does it affect me?
Yes, personally.
I think if it undermines an entire country, then it undermines me as a citizen of the country. That's what it is.
But it doesn't have a direct effect on you as a person. So what I'm getting at is that Tutula is on the ground, representing people who are directly affected by the influx of foreigners. And you seem to be downplaying that and talk from a position of comfort.
Well, I don't know if I do that. What I'm saying to you is, obviously, I'll say this on record, and I've said it before. If there are illegal nationals in this country, then that's not acceptable. That's a reflection on government. It's not a reflection on me. It's a reflection on government and the authorities who have actually left the gate open. Okay. Now, the second part is your point. It then undermines society. In fact, I made the point just now that in townships, there are township entrepreneurs who are unable to grow because of a flooding of different people who just happen to be foreign nationals in our country, and we've not been able to manage it. All I'm saying, therefore, is that the management of the problem can't be left to individuals who are outside the law, because that causes a problem. But I'm also saying to you, and I say this, that when we're seeing people so disgruntled, it is actually a reflection of their frustration that they've experienced for many years, where they've seen government unable to put a lid on this issue as if nothing has happened. And that is a problem. So hopefully you've got my answer. Thanks for that, Sabata. Right. Biza, let's get your thoughts, Biza. Hi.
No, thank you, Ashraf. I think ours is just to congratulate Chidima that finally is going to contest in her father's country. I mean, in South Africa, we're going to allow somebody with questionable citizenship to represent us. So Nigeria did very well by recalling her because she belongs there. We are hoping that she will not even come back after this particular contestation.
Oh, I don't know about that. I mean, I think if she's a resident of this country, she can come back anytime. I mean, I'm just making the point. We must be very careful what we say and how we say it. Okay. But anyway, that's your thoughts. We'll talk about mathematics and a fascinating mathematics manual as we reflect on some of the winners in our country after this.
SA Women Struggles Journal. #Women's Month. Celebrating 30 years of democracy towards women's development, SAFM celebrates the power, resilience and brilliance of women. It's Women's Month, and we're honoring the incredible contributions of women in our communities, our workplaces and our homes. Join SAFM in recognizing the achievements, strengths and spirit of women everywhere. Let's uplift and empower each other today and every day. SAFM, leading the conversations that move us. Ashraf Garda on the National Pulse.
So we like to talk to winners and their winning ways and whatever else they do, and we do that often as we wrap up the show. Today we chat to the Paddy-born mathematician Aviwe Sofoyia, who's published a grade 12 mathematics practice manual for school pupils. So let's find out more exactly what has happened and how significant it's been. Aviwe, I appreciate your time. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Thank you. So let's tell me about this manual you'll put together, and why did you feel the need to do so?
Okay, so my manual is 2 parts. Part 1 focuses on the content of paper 1 and the scope for paper 1, and part 2 focuses on the same for paper 2. The reason why I have separated the topics for paper 1 and paper 2 is because I have realized, or rather I have identified the gap that many learners, they don't even know what to prepare for when they are going to write paper 1, and they end up doing topics that fall under paper 2. So I wanted the clarity on that, and also it is written in step-by-step method, which is going to assist learners in terms of practicing for them to understand the topics step by step on how they solve the problems. So,
because I understand that, one of the points that you bring up is that these learners don't lack knowledge. What they lack is an understanding of the step-by-step method. So how did you realize that, and then how did you correct that?
Okay, so back in 2022, I was involved in a program with Shell STEM, working with Ikamva Youth. So I got to engage with grade 12 learners a lot. And that's when I identified the gap, that you would give a learner a question from a certain topic, but when you give them a different topic, or rather a different question from the same topic, they struggle to solve it because they don't understand the steps that they need to follow. So then I realized they are not lacking knowledge, but rather the understanding of solving mathematical problems.
Okay, so now that you've done what you have, I would think that the purpose behind it would be to transform society in this case. What impact has it had?
Yeah, it has had a very positive impact because the book was published 1 month ago, and exactly on the same day it was published, we were sold out. And so far we have sold more than 60 copies, which is a very good sign of impact on people, or rather the learners, and the feedback that they are getting from the book.
All right, now if you sold 60 copies, I mean, where would they be? I mean, who would be buying it?
It's mostly the parents. It's mostly the parents if I'm looking at the statistics, but also the teachers and the principals are buying. And also I am running a book drive. So I'm calling individual sponsors or any relevant sponsors to sponsor the books to the schools where learners cannot afford to buy for themselves. So mostly that's how it reaches to the schools. I have sponsors that are coming on board, offering to buy for different schools. So it's the principals, parents, and the sponsors for the schools.
All right, so I would think, I mean, what do you sell them for? How much?
So the books are both for 380.
Okay, so if it's that important, I think you're right. Maybe it's a good shout out. Anybody listening would like to attach themselves to your book, and your book is called, and in terms of sponsoring it, right? So that, because I think, people are going to struggle to pay for this, and particularly if you want to transform society, then you need people to get this book. So there's a shout out, but maybe I'll leave it to you to say, can you make your own shout out here on SAFM to say, come on, sponsors, help me out to be able to deliver more books to more people?
Okay, so the main objective behind me actually writing the book was to help the learners, especially in disadvantaged communities. So now, obviously, most of them cannot afford to buy the books. Hence, I am calling on sponsors to help me spread the book to reach the learners. That were the main objective for me to write the book.
And how can people reach you?
Okay, so my contact number is 066 349 8811. 066 349 8811. And the email address is mathematics by Avwesofoya.
So what, mathematics at what? Just repeat that. We didn't get that. Or at your name, right? Yeah?
It's mathematics.
Yeah.
By @gmail.com.
Okay.
On Facebook, I am Sofoya Vumichongo Aviwe.
All right. What we'll do is we'll get, if you're okay with it, we'll post out even the number on our tweet as well. So we'll get I'll get Vusani, our digital man, to do just the same thing. Okay. Well done to you, and thanks for your time. I think you've done something that's pretty groundbreaking. Let's see if more people can be reached through a sponsorship attached to you. That'll be fantastic. So, Avuia, thank you for your time.
Thank you so much for
having me. There we are. Avuia Sofoya. There we are. Putting together this manual, the Grade 12 Mathematics Practice Manual for school pupils, step-by-step understanding. Let's wrap up the show. There's a couple of comments that we've got. Shadak is toothless. It's the same who said presidential elections did not go well. Now they give the chairmanship to Mnangagwa. Shame on Sadek. And here's another thought.
Good afternoon, Ashraf. About this lady Chidima, what she has spoken, it shows that she didn't know that she was a Nigerian, and she wanted to take advantage of the South Africans. That is very bad, and it's worth going to jail, that thing, what she has done, because she was not supposed to do like that.
Well, I don't know. I don't know enough. I think you also can be a national of one country and represent another if they allow it. There's been other examples of that. I don't know enough about it. There's been South Africans who I think took part in one Miss South Africa and took part in a Miss Germany. I stand to be corrected, but people who know better than me can certainly tell me. Here's a last thought. Okay, I mean, that's the show, right? So there's a podcast, or there are podcasts of all the big interviews we've done throughout the day. Please listen to it, download it, share it with your friends. All of it is the base of conversation. And you as well, you know this, you can comment on Facebook on SFM Radio, and you can also comment on my page, and the same on Twitter, SFM, and myself, all throughout the evening, because why should the National Pulse stop when the show stops? The show must go on. That's the show for now. It's 6 o'clock. Here's the news with Greg House.
Thank you again, Ashraf. New focus for National Energy Committee, and death toll rises in Uganda landslide. Good evening to you. Business, Eskom and the Presidency have agreed that the National Energy Crisis Committee should focus on transmission, market reform, municipal utilities and new energy generation. The head of project management in the Presidency, Rudy Dix, was giving an update from the multi-stakeholder meeting convened by the President. He says increasing volumes in freight, rail and the logistics sector is an urgent priority.
Specifically, what we have seen is a plateauing or stabilization of the decline in volumes on the freight rail network. Last year, we were able to do 149 million tons. Of course, that is from a low level of what we peaked at in 2017, when it was about 240 million tons. What we do see at the end of the last financial year was an ability just to slightly uptick the amount of volumes on the freight rail network to 152 million tons. Now, this is way beyond the target that has been set in terms of the operational recovery plan. And we think this is going to be quite critical for us, again, through a collaborative effort to try and build intervention and support where we can.
The Limpopo Premier Poppy Ramathuba says the provincial government has started the process to place the troubled Tabazimbi municipality under administration. For more than 2 years, the municipality's had two parallel councils. The DA and ANC-led